Hey, how's it going? I don't think I've ever really talked about this type of thing before, but when I was writing frameworks and just writing CSS and things like that as well, one thing that I would always talk about is that everything can be solved with what I like to call splitting and stacking. Okay. And what I mean by this is that you can effectively use Flexbox for pretty much any design. Um, so let me explain. So I'm going to write some code. I'm going to explain, and I'm going to explain my thinking. Okay. So one of the first things on a page is that you most common pages need to be stacked. Like all the elements need to be stacked on top of each other. So usually the first thing I do is I stack everything on top of each other. So what that looks like is like this. Okay. And then this is kind of the wrong thing here. All right, yeah. So now everything's in the center, everything's stacking on top of itself, right? And then it's like, okay, well, now that I've stacked everything on top of themselves, like I can make this section like the nav bar, and I can make this section the body, and I can make this section the footer. Okay, it's like, dang, that looks pretty good, right? So what I need to do in a nav bar is like, well, I would like the nav bar to expand the entire length of the page. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it. Okay. So I'm going to make it a flex box, and I'm going to use flex row, and now everything's split. Okay. So if I do like justify between, I can now have like nav bar left. So we do nav bar left, and then we do nav bar right. Okay. So as you can see, we have those. And what I'm going to do is just add a little padding because it just makes it look better and easier. And then we'll change the background a little bit so we can kind of see what's happening here. So we have nav bar left, nav bar right, right? So usually on the nav bar left, you have something like a logo, right? So it'd be something like logo. And then maybe on the right, you have something like socials, right? But then you have this issue of like, well, where do I put the navigation? You know, like where do I go to click on different pages? There's two different ways you can do this. You could stack them on the right or stack them on the left, but splitting and stacking is still something that is entirely relevant here. So let's go ahead and do that. So if I want all the stuff on the left to be on the left, I just split it again. Okay, I'm going to split this in half like this. And then what I can do is add a section for like a logo. And we just go like this, boom, boom. And then maybe I want my navigation here. So then I would just do div class flex row gap like 2. And then I'm going to add my like navigation components here, which is going to look like second. So if we do div a, okay, item A, B, C. And then we just make these like smaller. And maybe we need to put them in the center. And maybe we need to split the logo in half so it has a little more room. Okay. So like generally speaking, all this stuff kind of works in a pretty similar way where everything can be effectively split into different categories based on like splitting stacking, right? So what I've done is I've already built this navigation, and all I've done is use flex boxes to split and stack this thing. Okay, like we ended up splitting it here. The whole thing is split, and the whole thing is now stacked. And now it's like, okay, cool. Now that I have that, we're done with that part, right? Like really, really, really simple stuff. So like for a body, for example, like if I wanted to add a body to this page, let's make the background 950 on this for the body. And let's see. So we do 900, we'll do border, we'll do a border top, and let's just make it border neutral 800, right? And then we'll do width full. And then we'll put everything in the center. So we're going to make this a flex box. We're going to make this a flex column, so everything inside of it's being stacked. And now we have our body set up. But the thing about it is like, again, like everything is just splitting and stacking things. Like if you think of it as just like building blocks and cutting things in half, it's so easy to build any design, right? So like for example, it's like maybe I want what do they usually do? They usually do like a what would be on this? Like like it's not a header image, it's like a it's like a big image. It's usually like a really really big image. So like let's just add that, right? So we can probably just honestly, it's going to take up a good chunk of it. So let's just add that. So we'll do flex h full, let's do rounded. Um and then maybe we go grab an image real quick. Like say maybe we want to do this. I don't know. Let's grab a yeah. So I'll grab this image and then like we want a nice image in here like this. And let's just make this like rounded. I think this has to be rounded. I can never remember which one it is. Yeah, it's this one. And then maybe inside of our little image here, we do like padding 6, give it a little more space. Maybe we throw a border on it. Not a border on that, but a border on this guy. And then we do border neutral 900. But almost everything can be pretty much like split or stacked based on what you need. It's an incredibly simple thing. So like maybe down below, like oh yeah, hero image is what I was trying to call this. Hero image. It's like okay, I got my hero image. Maybe I want to do some stuff for like what the product is or something of that effect. Maybe I want 2 columns here, right? And again, this is still splitting and stacking things. So we just expand this out and we just say left column, right? And then we do div right column. And then we just got to make it the full width, which needs to be, it's already full width there. Oh yeah, justify between, right? And then, yeah, everything's kind of like split up in that way. And if we want them to be, more flexible, we just set them all to like text left and we do flex grow. Not flex grow. I think it's just called grow. Let me check. Yeah, go just grow. And this kind of just splits everything in half like this. Boom, left column, right column, and then padding x6. So that lines everything up. So now we have that, and then we just do like text to XL, and then something like this. And again, like very simple, just splitting things in half and adding stuff. Like it's a really simple thing. Like and like maybe I want to add more content here. Right now it's like set to flex row or whatever. I just set this to flex col. And again, splitting and stacking things. We are now stacking some elements on top of this. So maybe our left column has this span, right? And we just add 2XL and this, and we do class, this, boom. There we go. Same thing with the right column. Put that in there. Right column. And then I could add content here. Hello world. And all this stuff just kind of works. Like doing this methodology just in general does it just makes everything really simple. Like once you get the idea of like, oh, as long as I just split everything in half and I effectively just keep splitting and stacking things, everything kind of just works out. It's a really, really, really simple premises. So, splitting and stacking everything is just very simple. So like if we look at this from the perspective of, let's say here, right? Like let's really dig into it. So you see here we have like the navigation bar, right? And if you go into it, you'll notice it's a flex box. And these are all split here. And this is one div here. But over here, this one's on its own. And it can be split into however many of them I need. And then when you go down, it's actually stacked. Like these things are stacked like this, right? And then these are split here. These two are split in half, and then they're stacked. So like everything I think can actually just be written with this very simple idea. And I actually think it just works really well. I don't think I've ever really explained it before, but I think it just it's just kind of how you need to look at like every website. Is like all it is just data that's being split in half, or boxes being split in half or stacked or whatever. Um, and that should be something that you should definitely try to look for if you're doing web design, honestly. Like I think it's a very simple way to go about it. And it makes it very consistent. Like anything that you work on, it's incredibly easy to just split everything in half, stack it, and so on and so forth. Like even right now, like as I'm filling out the rest of this stuff, like it's so easy to put this together because I don't even have to think about what I'm doing. Um, it's just splitting and stacking things until it looks good. Like it doesn't need to be like brain surgery to do these things. Like CSS and stuff is not hard, especially when you're using something like Tailwind. Like everything just works in the same exact way, like every single time. Um, but yeah, it's like very simple to do these types of things. But I highly recommend adopting this type of methodology for anything that you write, especially with HTML and CSS. Like you will never have to think about any of this, like putting designs together ever again. Like when you're adapting stuff from like Figma or whatever, this is so easy. This is like the easiest thing ever. So give it a try. Tell me what you think. Like leave a comment if you've ever done something like this before, if you've never heard of it, whatever. Like tell me what you think about this because I want to hear about it. But this is something that I've done forever at this point, and it just makes sense to me. So anyway, I hope you like this video. But yeah, if you haven't already, go check out my website, stuck.com. There's some stuff on there. I post things, whatever. Anyway, see you around.